All right, guys, so I want to go through the hold sheet template with you guys. This is an instructional on how to analyze properties using a hold sheet that was created by the best in the business. I mean, these guys who created this worksheet and these formulas also wrote the book Hold, and from my understanding, they have thousands and thousands of properties, all in which they used. Actually, over time, they've ended up using this formula to analyze each and every property. So we're going to go through it with you. Now, what I ended up doing was I ended up pulling up an example property that we can use to analyze this property. So this property is in Tacoma. The listing price is $500,000. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put right over here. It's just a plug and play, 500,000 fair market value. Assume that it's just 500,000. And then there's zero discounts in this market. It's hard to get discounts, so I'm just going to put zero for there. And then the purchase price, max offer, let's just say we ended up getting it at asking price. So the percent down, it typically is about 20 to 25%. In this situation, we'll just put 20%, an 80-20 LTV over here. And then interest rates, nowadays it's about 4.5%. At least right now in 2020, the beginning of 2020. So length of the mortgage, typically about 30-year amortization. The monthly mortgage payments will end up being $2,026.74. So this is where you end up plugging in the rental income. Now, if you look down, and you should be able to get most of this data about a listing in most websites like Redfin, Zillow, and et cetera, et cetera. If not, we could certainly look it up for you. But in this case, it looks like there's 3 units, and they're getting 1,200, 1,050, and 1,150. So let's just plug that in. So it's 1,200. Whoops. 1,200, 1,050, and 1,150. So over here you get your gross income, and then you actually have to account for a vacancy rate, which is in Seattle, at least most areas of King County, you're looking at about 5%. Now you can increase that if you want to be more conservative, but we're pretty comfortable, even in Tacoma, for a pretty low vacancy rate. So now our net rental income is $3,230. From there, then we want to calculate all of the expenses. Now, this is where people get hit the most because they don't calculate their expenses properly, and they just think, okay, I have my monthly mortgage payment and I got my gross rental income, and then they think they're making a lot of money, in which they're not, because they have to account for various expenses. So the property management fees typically is about 10%. That's the market rate, I guess you would say. And you would want to calculate that on the gross rents. In this case, it's $3,400, 10%, $340. And then I'm going to pass through the leasing costs because there are sometimes one-time leasing fees, but we're not going to calculate that for now. So the maintenance reserve, I typically end up doing about 1% of the price of the home. So, 416, I mean, you could be conservative. I like to be conservative here, and I just put 1% of the price of the home, and that ends up being saving about $416 every month. Utilities, I mean, it all depends, but in this particular case, they have utilities at $2,800 a year. So let's just plug that in, $2,800 a year. Property taxes, again, this should all be public data, 4,331. So let's just put 4,331 here. And then insurance, they have it at $900 a year. Let's see if there's any other expenses that we can put on there. Now, there are usually some kind of miscellaneous expenses. You got to get the grass cut, et cetera, et cetera. So we're going to end up putting, let's just say $100 for any kind of miscellaneous expenses. So now your total expenses is $1,525.92, and hence your gross minus your expenses, or your net rental income minus your expenses, ends up becoming your net operating income of $1,704.08. Now, you have to, of course, take out the mortgage payments, and then you can then see your net cash flow, your free cash flow, in which in this case you are losing money no matter how you look at it, of about $322.66. So in order for this to actually make sense, we would let's just say these market rates were the rental rates were lower than normal. Let's just increase them to $1,500 each. So in this case, now you're making $612 in net cash flow, which is a great thing. And your cap rate here is 6.57%. Now, cap rate is used as a kind of a marker in being able to analyze deals across different business, at least real estate deals. So in this case, it's a 6.57%. The way to calculate this is you got to look at your net operating income. So your mortgage payments or your debt service has nothing to do with this. We're just looking at your net operating income, actually your yearly, dividing it by your acquisition price. And that's how you get the cap rate. Now 6.57% is pretty good, at least here, at least around the King County area. And so your net cash flow is $612. So if you feel in this case that you can get $1,500 each, and right now it's under rented at the current rents, then I would say move forward with this deal. But if not, at those current rents, it actually doesn't make sense as a deal, because then you're going to be at a 4.33% cap rate, which is not good at all, and you're going to be losing money every month. So that's how you calculate properties. You also have all these other analysis here. We're not going to get into it, just for to make it simple. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out.